hour. Again, we have a unique moment in time to deliberate, to talk, to discuss Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique. My name is Ken Jones, and it is indeed a pleasure for me to go on that journey with you where we can deliberate, where we can talk, because now more than ever before, we need to reason, we need to discuss, and we must do so with the objective of learning, of enhancing, of knowing more. The folks on Facebook and YouTube, I want to encourage you to share the live. In fact, I will attempt to share the live from this advantage point. Let me just try to share the live here also. So I want to encourage you, share the live to as many people as possible. Let me make sure I too share the live. So please go ahead and share the live right to as many people as possible. So you can share the live. I just did. I want to encourage you to do the same thing. I want to start off this morning by saying Grenada is at this point at a junction, and we have to be able to know where to go, what direction we will head, because we want to move forward, we want to advance, we want to build, we want to develop. But if we go the wrong direction, we can easily regress. We can easily reverse or go in reverse. So we have to be knowledgeable. We have to have a map as to where exactly we want to go. Do we want to go in the direction of NNP and Keith Mitchell and Emlyn Pay, Roland Bowler, Gregory Bowen, Lorena Waldron, Alvin Dabrio? I mean, these guys, they have been around for ages in the politics of the country, 20-something years. That's a lot of years. Well, don't even talk about Keith Mitchell. He has been there for 40 years plus. So, do we want to go in that direction? Or do we want to go in the direction of the most honorable Deacon Mitchell and his team of men and women who are still fresh in the politics, who come with newness, with vision, with a plan to transform Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique? So I am saying we have to know the direction we want to go. Because remember, during the NNP period, the public officers, they were marching on the streets. That was the NNP era of politics and governance. They were marching on the streets for their pension. They were marching on the streets for the increase in their salaries. They were marching on the streets for security of tenure. But NDC came into power and ushered in a new era of politics and governance. They gave the public officers who retired and during NNP was marching in the hot sun, demonstrating for their pension, they paid them, and they continue to pay them every month until they die. they increase. They were matching for that. And the NNP was saying we cannot afford to pay any increase, any 4% increase. The NDC came into power and they paid them their 4%. 4%, 4%, 5%, making it 13%. That's the new era of politics. The NDC is regularizing public officers, giving them security of tenure so that they can go to the financial institution, they can go to, the credit union, the banks, and they can take a loan, they can build a house, they can buy land, they can buy a car, they can move up in life. But that's the NDC era or period of governance and politics. During the NNP time, that was not there for many public officers. And then you have public officers who are unestablished. They do not have a pension. They didn't have a pension under the NNP. So under the NNP, they never had a pension. But when NDC came into power, NDC put in place a pension scheme for them. So when they retire, they can go home with some level of dignity and security because they still have to eat, they still have to pay their bills, they still have to clothe themselves, and may I add, they will be visiting the pharmacies more frequently. They will be visiting the doctors more frequently as they age. So having some money, having some income will help tremendously. But the NDC did all of that for the workers, making sure that the workers have security of tenure. And this is important. So that is why I started the program by saying we are at a junction and you must know what direction you want to go. Do you want to go backwards with the NNP or do you want to go forwards or forward with the NDC? You have to know. And the choice is clear. Police officers are happier now because they got their pay and grade. In fact, the NNP wants to muddy up the waters by telling their supporters, well, they give them pay and grade, but when a number of them go to study, the government is saying to them, well, we can't pay you all the money while you're studying. We want you to reduce the amount that we normally pay you. Well, folks, that's a normal thing for public officers, generally speaking. If government gives you the leeway to study, to advance yourself, and many a times it's coming from government coffers, then you would have to take a study leave or some kind of thing of that sort. It's kind of normal, but the government wants to meet them halfway to see what can be done so that they can be A-okay. But nothing when it comes to the pay and grade. They already got their pay and grade. So to come and use this scare tactics, this fear mongering, to say to these police officers, well, they're going to remove the pay and grade. Well, the NNP never gave you pay and grade. They never increased your salary. The NDC only recently increased your salary by giving you pay and grade. So any logically thinking person would not go with the NNP, misinformation, disinformation, and lies. Who would you trust when it comes to pay and grade and you getting your increase? You have to trust the NDC because they gave you your pay and grade. Excuse me. You're getting more money thanks to the NDC. You look at the nurses. In fact, right now they're making the argument that, well, there are nurses who completed SGU and they're waiting to be employed. Well, under the NNP, There were nurses who completed SGU and they were waiting to be employed. This is something that would always be there. All right? They would apply and they would wait. That's nothing new. Nothing new. But they're saying to the government now, employ all the nurses that graduate from SGU and everywhere else. But why the NNP didn't do it? So everything takes time. It is a process. But the nurses who are employed, they're getting more on their salaries. During the NNP time, they were not getting that. They're getting more for uniform allowance. During the NNP time, they were not getting that. The doctors, they're getting more on their salary. During the NNP time, they were not getting that. You see the point? And then you look at minimum wage, where ordinary workers are getting more on their salaries. During the NNP time, that never existed. That never existed. So we are at a junction. And it seems like it's two roads, but because we're at a junction, there might be 4 roads, or maybe even 5, right? Because there are a lot of other parties who are emerging or out there. But you must know where you want to go, what direction you want to go. As a young person, you have free tuition. You can go back to TAMCC, the government will pay. You can go back to NULO, the government will pay. So you can learn a skill. You can become employable. You can become a very productive citizen, thanks to the NDC. Under the NNP, that was not there. You have youth in agriculture, a significant investment of $7.3 or so million, where 100 plus young people are receiving training and receiving support to start their own little business, to become masters of their own trade in agriculture. You have women in agriculture, $3 million invested there again, significant amount of money, trying to help our young people to appreciate agriculture more and see agriculture as a career. That's a significant investment, but one that speaks to medium to long term, where you can, guarantee Grenada's food security or food sovereignty. I'm saying the government cares. You look at the Digital Workforce Initiative, where 100 Grenadians received training in that field. Government invested hundreds of thousands of dollars so that young men and women can receive training in ICT and cyber security and so on. And they can become employable or employed, because they will be employable. They can become employed. And then you look at the Empower program that existed under the NNP. The NDC came into power. They never scrapped the program. They enhanced the program. They're giving them more as a stipend. So during NNP time, they used to get $700. Now they're getting $1,000 as a stipend. During the NNP time, they were getting $2,400 as a grant once they complete the program. Now under NDC, they're getting $3,000. So you have hundreds of young men being trained and supported through this program. You have the Elevate Her program, where young women are given a chance to receive training, to receive support. I think it's about 200 or so young women given a stipend, given training to enhance themselves. Then you have the New Imani training program that continues. And the trainees, they're getting more as a stipend, because during NNP time, they were starting them off at $700. During the NDC time, they're getting as much as $1,200 for their stipend. So we are at a junction, and you need to know what direction you want to go. Because I think it's important, very important for you to know what direction you want to go. I want to say also, you look at a number of people in Grenada who had, pit latrines. The NNP left 8,715 people in Grenada using pit latrines, and in some cases a whole family using pit latrines. The NNP left that as a legacy. The NDC came into power and they decided we have to try to eradicate, get rid of the pit latrines. Even if it would take 5 years to do it, 3 years to do it, 4 years to do it, 10 years to do it, we will undertake this project to build a modern bathroom and toilet facility for our people, to give them back their humanity and dignity. And the government has started that project, and they are going very, very well. You have hundreds of families who have already received a modern bathroom and toilet facility. And that is a government that cares. Then you have so many houses being repaired, being refurbished, being fixed. Before, the NNP used to give people materials, and that would stay under their house and rot. Now the government is providing the materials, providing the labor. Everybody can't get, but those who need it the most are getting the help. The government never stopped the building of concrete roads and concrete drains, no, a widening of roads. They continue doing just that. And right now they're doing the asphalt paving and so on, which is commendable. I know they had some hiccups with the plant and the materials being readily available, but they're repairing the roads and so on. Everything takes time, but things are happening for people. Look at the amount of new schools that are being built. Look at the amount of new schools. The St. David Catholic Secondary School, $40.6 or so million. The St. Andrew Anglican Primary School, $37 or so million. The Grenada Christian Academy, $30-something million. Then you have the Calais Government School expansion project, $3-point-something million. Then you have the School for Special Education. That too, they're enhancing. That too, they're upgrading. And then we have a number of schools that were refurbished, reconditioned, labs added to some schools, staff rooms redone. So the government is at work, but you have to choose what direction you want to go. Because when stupid season comes around, you'll be hearing all kinds of stuff. All kinds of promises, lofty promises, pie in the sky promises. All now, you're not hearing NNP talking about plans and programs and what they would do. They're just attacking the NDC. And they're putting on a comedy show. You see and you hear on their platforms. the kind of stupidness that comes from the mouth of people who should have sense. Then you have the playing fields throughout the country being lit. So many playing fields upgraded and lit. So many basketball courts and netball courts being upgraded in this country. So many community centers being refurbished. And training is taking place in the community centers. Meetings and so on. Events are taking place within the communities. This is significant. Life is returning in our communities. Night cricket, night football competitions, left, right, and center. Things are happening for our people. And we have to be proud of this government. Because during the NNP time, that was not the case. In fact, right now, the government is lighting the cricket stadium. Very soon, we will have T20 cricket in Grenada. In Grenada. Keith Mitchell used to beat his chest like King Kong, saying that he, was a cricketer and he's passionate about cricket and so on. But all little islands having night cricket because they invested in lighting their playing fields. Look at Progress Park, lit with world-class lights to facilitate night cricket. The Last Just playing field being lit, right? I mean, they lighting the Last Just playing field. And the other fields, they're going step by step by step. Look at the amount of solar lights across the island. Before when you fly and you look down, Grenada was highly dark in some areas. But some people are telling you, when they up in the sky and they look down during the nighttime, they see more lights. And if you go on the ground in certain communities, you see it for yourself. So things are happening step by step by step. But you have to choose what direction you want to go. We are at a junction. We are at crossroads, right? And you have to determine where you want to go, you and your family. And you have to go further than this. Your community, because you're seeing transformation taking place within your community, right? Where do you want to go as a department, as an institution? Because the businesses are enjoying this moment. They are seeing profits. They are seeing, the economy being more liquid. They're taking risks. They're investing more. So you have to determine where you want to go if you're a small business owner. Think about it. The NDC came into power. What did they do? They invested in you and your small and medium-sized business. They gave you a grant of up to $30,000. Everybody couldn't get, but 500 plus small and medium-sized businesses benefited from the CES program with grant aid, not a loan. You didn't have to pay it back, and you were supported. Follow-ups were done to make sure that you really saw your plan came to life. So you have to also choose. You have to choose what direction you want to go. Because all the social safety net programs, for example, they are still ongoing. The debushing program. You hear Keith Mitchell now talking about the debushing program, and under his reign, this is to happen and that is the debushing program continues. It continues. The back to school voucher program, that continues. The name change to uniform and school supplies program and so on. But that continues. The housing repair program, that continues. And we can go on and on. Look at the number of scholarships provided for our people in the last 3 years. Over $100 million worth of scholarships. And it continues. It might be closer to 200 million now. So you have to choose. You have to choose what direction you want to go. Do you want to go backwards with the NNP type of politics, of melee, confrontation, disrespect, bad behavior? Do you want to go back to that level of politics? It dawned on me that the NNP had the General Counsel. And Keith Mitchell dominated the whole General Counsel. But it was about himself. It was about Keith Mitchell, not about the NNP and about Grenada, Carrick, and P.T. Martinique. He spoke about Tevin private part. He spoke about his woman and whether she X or Y or young or old, whether she's beautiful or not, tantalizing or not. I mean, it was about Keith Mitchell. But anytime you hear a man comes publicly and boasts about their sexuality and boast about the woman, you have to put a big question mark over that individual, whether or not they can perform, whether or not they can actually perform. This boastfulness is unbecoming from a person who has been prime minister for so long. But whenever a person comes publicly and starts boasting like this, you must ask a number of questions. What caused the individual to come out and brag and boast like this? A man 79 years old, or 78, 79 or 78, do you believe he can actually outperform a young man who has 2 kids or 2 children? I mean, just think about it. Just think about it. You see, you only recently saw the same man blacking out, more or less fainting off. What can this guy really do? But he comes in the public and boasts about his sexuality. I don't know about the individual. I don't know if he has any child biologically. I don't know. But he says he has a son. But I would not even question that, whether adopted or biological. But to come in the public and boast about his sexuality and attack one Tevin and talk about his private parts and then go on a rant about his woman, it begs a number of questions. But anytime you see that happening, you as a reasonable thinker must start asking questions, because men who could perform and who could do what must be done, they don't go and boast and brag on a stage like this. They don't. But insecure men who can't do what they're supposed to do, right? Men who have to put their tongue in a freezer to even use that, right? Or men who need a ladder to really stand up to reach to where they have to reach. I mean, they're the ones who come in the public and boast and brag and talk about they having this and they having that and they could perform. It's sad, and I pity the individual. But the entire General Counsel was around this individual, right? When I say men who have to put their tongue in the freezer, you know what I'm talking about, right? It says something about the NNP. It says a lot about the NNP. It scares me because you have one man who just believes that he can go on a national platform and talk this nonsense and get away with it. I almost thought the guy was going off when he said, Judge, and publish it again, and front page again, and it's sickening. And then you have the leader, well, the so-called leader of the party, just there sitting and, lost, I must say, because, I giving her a pass. She came across as being lost, shocked, in awe. What the hell is this guy saying? Why he's going down that rat hole? Why? Why he's taking that route? But, as I said a couple of days ago, the party is the man own. And no one can take it away from him. It's his party. And no one could challenge him. Or else, you know what would happen? I remember when I was an executive member of the NNP, the youngest executive member of the NNP, if you don't know. And I stood up to Keith Mitchell and the NNP. I stood up to him. In fact, I was the only individual in the 21st century who stood up to that de facto dictator. And he can tell everybody that. I stood up to him. I challenged him, while all the others remain very quiet and afraid. Not me, not Kem Jones. So I know the creature. I know the individual. He's not about Grenada. He's about himself. And that is why the NNP continues to sink into the political abyss. The NNP, on their platforms, they offer no hope. And Grenadians want hope. They wanted hope, and they have hope now. The future is not bleak and obscured. There is prospect, there is opportunities. You can say that tomorrow going to be better, that next week going to be better. You're optimistic again. You can be ambitious again. You can plan ahead again. That is what we wanted. Hope that tomorrow going to be better, next week going to be better, next month going to be better, next year going to be better. So I am simply saying we are at a junction as Grenadians, as Caracunians, as Pitimatnicans, and you must, as an individual, as a family, as a business owner, as a manager, as a community, as community leaders, you have to choose what direction you want to go. Because the NNP, they're talking, and right now, all the minions and surrogates and pundits who are hiding under a number of veils, either they pretended that they were independent of the politics and that they're bishop, they're a bishop in some church, right? But now they're letting it all out. I heard one on a particular program recently, and I say, but wait, will that one come out? So they hide or they hid under certain banners for the last 3 years. But we are going into the 4th year of the NDC being in power. And many of them start coming out from their crab hole to attack government. And they're attacking, and what they normally do, they would grab something that they believe is controversial. They would grab something that they believe they can get some support for, and they would try to use that as the horse to get to where they want to go. But little do they know, the Grenadian people are not even bothered with them. You see some of them jumping on the two bills, one that the government passed, the oath of allegiance, to swear to Grenada and not to a king or a monarch or some foreign power, to take that oath to Grenada. That some of these people are against it. And about the process, you have one that seemed to be very vulnerable, and maybe they may have infiltrated him every morning he calls because he's vulnerable. So he's easily tricked. And mind you, he would say, down with colonialism and down with this and down with that. But on the other side of his tongue, he's against the fact that the government passed such a piece of legislation where we are taking an oath to our country. And then he argues about the process and he speaks as though he's a studied constitutional guru. Yeah, as though he's some bright lawyer out there who studied constitutional law. And he makes his voice the loudest, calls a particular program every morning. Every morning he calls. And as though the program is his now. He speaks for a lengthy period of time. But you can't change that. You can't. It won't happen. It already passed. Take it to court. Go and challenge it in the court. We're taking the oath of allegiance to our country, not to a monarch, not to any king far away, to Grenada. And over time, things will change within the Constitution to give us more independence. But it's matriculative. Things do take time, step by step. And then the individual will lament about the poor relief, the seed program, because he wants more and more, and 150 this, and they promise 150, and they promise this, and they promise that. Well, the NDC increased the seed money to $500. They increase it. You could say what you want. They increase it. Many people are getting $500, right? Some getting $3, but they increase it. And it was the NDC who increased it the last time around. Don't make them fool you. When the NDC came, they increased it. And now again. But they angry. And then the bill giving young people more access to health care. So when the mother or father, well, the mother first, says to that child, you lie. Your brother didn't interfere with you. Your father didn't interfere with you. The child could go to a doctor and tell the doctor what they did to him or her. Right? Because Grenada has a very high rate of incest. We can't run away from the facts. In fact, one of the highest in the region. And then you have some of those people jumping on the bandwagon, and they believe they could ride that horse to get back to prominence and relevance. And then you ask them, but wait, the age of consent where a young person can have sex is age 16. And if you go even further to ask them, do a survey in Grenada and ask young people, at what age did you actually have sex? Some people are afraid, they believe it's a taboo to talk that. Go and do a poll, a research, and ask. And I think they did a poll some time back. And most of the folks said 12 and 13 and 14. So some of these so-called individuals who come there playing as though they holy as thou and self-righteous, go and open their closet. You might be surprised the amount of skeletons that would fall on you. You might be overwhelmed. So they believe that they're smart. The government did not go forward with the bill because the government is giving the population the opportunity to look at it, to debate it, to make recommendations and suggestions, and it can be amended. But don't tell me that young people shouldn't get access so that they can, when their parents fail them, because if you have a good relationship with your children, you have no fear. No fear. You hear me? No fear. If you have a good relationship with your children. But many of them who make a noise, they don't have a good relationship with their children. They don't. And their children would not discuss anything with them. And they know that at the age of 16 is consent. Yes, consent. Young people in Grenada could have sex at the age of 16 and above. And you can't stop it because it's illegal. It's law. And it hasn't changed. That's the law of the land. But if they have sex and they get sick, they still have to ask their parents. They have to get their parents' consent to go to a doctor. They can't go to a doctor. And if their stepfather raped them, or their father raped them, or their brother raped them, they can't go to a doctor just like that. But if the law is passed, then they could go and they could say, they could speak. They can be examined. So you see, we have to take the thing in the broader context. See what they're trying to do, they pull out one aspect of the bill and then they yap in and yap in and yap in. You hear me? That's what they do. They pull out one and they say, well, 12-year-old and 12-year-old. But you go and ask the young people, or even some of them that are talking, ask them at what age they had sex. Some of them would lie and tell you when they're 18 and 19 and 20 and even 30, some of them will tell you. But many of them had sex when they're 13 and 14. Yeah, you go and speak to them. They will tell you if they're honest and sincere. So the government must not fall victim to some of these people who playing as though they're holy as thou and talking about this bill. But this bill is a very important bill. Grenada has one of the highest rates of incest. And mind you, when those young people go and speak to the mother and the father, they're telling them they lie. And they might even beat them too. Yeah, they intimidate them and make them afraid. Let them young people be able to go and tell the doctor what they do to them. It's simple like that. Then they come in and talk this nonsense. So folks, I'm saying we are at a crossroad, right? We are at the junction. We are at a crossroads. We are at a junction, and you have to know where you want to go, what direction you want to go. Do you want to go backwards with the NNP? Because the NNP, all they do is talk. You ask them, what are your plans for education? What are your plans for agriculture? What are your plans for healthcare? What are your plans for the infrastructure of the country? They can't tell you. They cannot tell you, which is extremely sad. What are your plans for the youth of the country? What are your plans for the women of the country? You go on a platform and you attack. Grenada is peaceful. The economy is doing well managed. It's not, the country is not perfect, but things are happening for people. And we have to embrace that. But you must decide what direction you want to go. Nobody will determine that for you. Because when stupid season comes around, it's a different ball game. It's a different ball game when stupid season comes around. You're going to be hearing all kinds of stuff. Left, right, and center. You're going to be hearing all kinds of stuff. But you have to determine what direction you want to go. As a farmer, Ivan passed, Emily passed. You ask yourself, why didn't the NNP give you cash payment or assistance? You think because it was CRIF and because it was about the insurance, that you got a cash payout. The government didn't have to give you a cash payout, you know. Some people are confused. The government didn't have to give you any cash payout. The NNP didn't give you any cash payout after Hurricane Ivan and Emily. The NDC administration could have taken that money and do other things in agriculture with that money, but they gave you a cash payout. Some of you got up to what, $9,000, some $4,000 and so on. You got that money. The NDC didn't have to go that direction because nothing with this CRIF payout says that government has to give farmers money. They could have given them plans alone or labor assistance alone, but the government decided to give them cash payout, assisting them to get back on their feet again. You have to determine what direction you want to go. Look at the fisher folks. They've gotten assistance also. So the government cares. And the government has demonstrated that. And you look at how Grenada is viewed internationally. You look at how Grenada is viewed internationally, and you say to yourself, but wait, at the end of the day, our country is seen in a better light, right? As a nation, we have to be proud of that. Very proud indeed, that we are seen regionally and internationally as leaders in so many areas. Grenada is back. Grenada is back. And we have to be proud of that. Folks, I can tell you at this point that I am not in Grenada currently. I am in the United States of America. I came in last evening, yesterday. So I'm in the United States of America. I'm in New York at the moment. I'm in New York at the moment. And I will be here for a number of days. All right. I will be in the New York area for a number of days. Just giving you a little update there. I am in New York. And I know there are a great many people who may want to link up between now and next week. We can link up. All right. You know my number. You can WhatsApp me. You can communicate with me and we can link up, you know. I'm here for a period of time. And you know how I operate. I have been in this business for quite a while. People don't know my movements too much. I just move. All right. So again, just saying, I'm in the Big Apple, New York. I have to engage in another state, a group of Grenadians. I think it's about 67 Grenadians who have invited me to engage them because they're interested in coming back home and participating in our democracy and supporting our great country to ensure that we remain on that sustainable path. All right, I think it's about 62 or 67 of them. Many of them came down to Grenada already. Many of them gotten registered. Some will be there again. You know, so things are happening. Things are happening step by step. So I'm out here for a period of time. Quite quick though. It will be maybe what? I'm here for about a week. New York and another state. I'm not going to name the state. And after that, back down to Grenada. All right, so very, very short time. Hey, Dennis, how you doing, my brother? Yeah, I know you're down Long Island. So again, I'm out here. All right? Yeah, and folks, don't be too concerned about me. You say, Kem, don't eat and don't drink. No, look, you have to understand Kem Jones. I grew up tough. And I worked at NADMA for many years, trained, I'm well trained in quite a number of areas. So don't be too worried about Kim Jones. The reason why I'm still standing after all these years is because I know how to manage and how to handle my space. All right? Yeah. So don't confuse all yourself. But thank you for caring. Thank you for being a bit concerned, you know? Yeah, and it's really sad to hear what we are hearing regarding Milan Franklin. He was a good guy, good gentleman. I'm still waiting for the full report, but I have an inside scoop on this whole situation. And what I heard from reliable sources does not sit well with me. All right, it's it's sad, very sad. It's a young man, 27 years, young man. Um, but I'm responsible. Still waiting on the official report as to the cause of death. All right, as to the cause of death. So, folks, I want to again go back to the substantive point. We need to know what direction we want to go as individuals, as a family. Sometimes you have to think beyond yourself, your family, as a community. Sometimes you have to think beyond just your family, but as a community and as a country. You have to become more patriotic. Grenada belongs to all of us, and we have a duty to make it better, to enhance it, to transform it. This is our home. We have turned the page from NNPism and Keatism. Yes, Keat is still there talking nonsense, talking rubbish, and yes, the NNP is still around, but we have to be so focused, so tactical, so strategic, that every day we have to be adding more people over to the NDC. We have to be working on that, getting more votes, and organizing ourselves for when that time comes. That's important. Very, very important. Because to win, it's about numbers. Don't make nobody fool you. To win the next election, it is about numbers. It's a numbers game. It's not talk. That is why I always at it, making sure that we add to it, add to the number that we have. We want more. So I encourage you to register so you can vote come the next election. The next election could be in a year time or under a year. So you have to be registered and prepared to vote when the time comes. So I want to urge you, prepare yourself, organize yourself so you can vote, so you can keep the NDC in power, the National Democratic Congress. You're going to hear a lot of noise in the market. There are a lot of people who are going to speak and tell you this and tell you that. But you ask them, NNP was there. What has NNP done for you, for your family, for your community, for Grenada Car Company? What have they done really to transform the place? That's important. Very, very important. So I want to urge you to understand where we are at and how important it is to be focused and to know where you want to go, where your family want to go, where Grenada Carriacon Pitimatnik must go. And let's keep that where, in other words, we're on the right path. You look at our beloved Prime Minister on the international stage. You must feel proud as a Grenadian. You must feel proud and happy as a Grenadian to see our beloved Prime Minister on that international stage. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. So again, I want to encourage all of us to support him, support his team of men and women in any way that we can. Pray for them. Because just as they're in power, there are other people who want power and they will do anything to get it. Remember that. Just as you have those government ministers, you have people who are desperate, who want to become ministers of government, who want to be in that seat that our beloved Prime Minister is in. Never you forget that. Never you forget that. So folks, I want to, at this point, wish the Honorable Senator Claudette Joseph, or Senator the Honorable Claudette Joseph, happy birthday. Today's your birthday. You're doing a fantastic job in the town of St. George. I see you. I hear you. People are talking very good about you, the work that you continue to do in the town of St. George. Keep at it. Step by step, you're getting there. I told a friend, you were beaten in 2018 by 826 votes. You came back in 2022 and ran against the same person, Peter David, and you were beaten by only 211 votes. And if there was a week more left to campaign, I believe you would have defeated the guy. But now, the field is clear. Field is clear. So continue to do what you're doing and enjoy your birthday to the max. Enjoy your birthday to the max. I'll take a juicy cool on me. And anybody who's celebrating their birthday today, happy birthday to you. And those who are grieving because they may have lost some family member or friend, I want to extend my deepest condolences to you and your family. Folks, I want to wish you all the best. I will be back with you tonight in the hub. Take good care, and remember, I'm out here in New York, and if you want to link up with me, you can, because I have so many friends in New York. You can call me up, WhatsApp me, and we'll take it from there. But you can only WhatsApp me on my personal number, not the studio number. Personal number, 415-4817 or 403-1019. All right? Take good care, folks. Bye for now. Bye for now. Bye for now.